Okay, so if this is a rocky interview, this is only my second one I've ever done.
It's fine, don't worry about it. I've done stuff that's myself. It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was your motivation for starting creation. I heard a bit about it in your second video about autism. I watched all of that last night, and literally I felt so dumb for asking if you had a Discord server, because like 10 minutes later I got that question answered.
It's fine. No, don't worry about it. A lot of people do. It's a very common thing for like creators to have Discords and stuff, and yeah, it's just not my scene. If you're wanting to know like exactly why I started in the first place, I guess, that like why I started, it is partially because of what I've talked about in my videos on autism, in generally feeling very out of place in like kind of a regular, more neurotypical workplace. But also, like, I've always known since I was young that I wanted to entertain in some form and be creative in that regard. You know, I was always good at drama and English and stuff. When it came to maths and science, I was a bit of a flop. And then I remember I finished college, and it was all like, what's next? What are you going to do for a living? How are you going to make money and stuff? And I didn't know. I basically went to university for 3 years after, basically to kind of give myself time to think about it. And then a year into my degree, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of time on this soon too. Like I need to start doing something. And I just figured, can we swear on this show? Can I swear?
Yeah,
I just figured, fuck it, I've basically grown up on the internet. I've spent my entire life pretty much on YouTube. I can do what these guys do, like I can do this. So I started making my very first videos at university in my dorm, which was terrifying actually, because I'd never like recorded audio for anything like that before. So I was constantly nervous that like my flatmates could hear me like recording videos like, blasted Pokemon to Sun and Moon. Oh, I hate these Pokemon games. I thought my all my cool student flatmates could hear me. I'm like, what is this idiot doing? But I had to do it because I was like, I have to get this thing off the ground, start making money, and maybe this can be my job, because I don't know what else I'm gonna do.
Yeah. So you recorded the Pokemon Sun and Moon video whenever you were still in university?
Yeah, the first few videos, like up to like pretty much my first 5 or 6 videos, I did all of my university. In fact, the Sun and Moon video isn't actually my first video I ever made. I actually made one before that's now deleted. I remade like a better version of it. What was it? The problem with how to solve the loot box problem. It's this really stupid 6-minute video about like how we're gonna pants Andrew Wilson, head of EA, and we're going to throttle the earth into the sun and all this bullshit. I just thought it was funny and stupid. That was my first video, but I deleted that. And then my second video was the Sun and Moon one, which I've left up.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, there's no way that was the first video on his channel, because that's, like, a banger out the get-go.
Damn.
But I think I remember seeing that video up, because I was confused seeing that as the first video. Because I've been following you for a while. I think you were, like, at less than 10K whenever I found you.
Probably.
And I got recommended the Sun and Moon video because I was in my little Sun and Moon Pokemon era. I was like, this guy doesn't like it?
Yeah.
I love this game.
Oh, damn. Did I turn you around? Did I convert you?
No, that's like one of my favorite Pokemon games still.
Damn.
I get the criticism, though.
Yeah, I hate
it. It is kind of mid, but I played it at a good time in my life, so... And then what really like pulled me into your channel was whenever you started the D-View. Mm-hmm. And that inspired me to do my album review series, which is like neutral recommendation, I guess.
Yeah.
Just like telling you what it is. And that's what inspired me to be like, hey, why don't I reach out to him for an interview?
Yeah. Awesome. I guess you're wondering how exactly I got onto that then?
Yeah.
Well, like I say, like I do consider myself more of an entertainer than like an actual... I never wanted to be viewed as a critic or a video essayist or any of that stuff. Originally, when I made the Sun and Moon video, I was alternating. Basically, I told myself I'd do a really stupid idiot video, one video, and then I'd do like something serious, something kind of more analytical. And then I realized that the analytical ones always did way better than anything else, and I was getting kind of pigeonholed, so I decided to just kind of cut that cold turkey. But any video I made that was kind of intended to be humorous and just that always flopped in terms of metrics. Not because I don't think they were good. I really believed in them. I had a lot of confidence in them, and the people who watched them always found them funny and enjoyed them. But what I realized is that like people on YouTube they want some sense of opinion. They want to get something close to objective out of it, even if it's understanding the kind of groupthink of how people think about a certain kind of media. They want something, and I was like, how do I blend these two things? How do I get to be funny and silly and creative while also giving the viewer like at least like a morsel of something to take take away, you know, like not just laughs, but like something to actually think about. And I was like, well, fuck, like I'll just try and do the funniest, silliest, most ridiculous review possible. I will actually give my actual thoughts on something, but in a very silly, kind of obtuse way. There's a guy called Tim Rogers who does, he used to do videos on Kotaku. He was their reviewer then, who now does videos on his own via a site called Action Button. And his reviews were kind of part of the big inspiration. He is such a strange man, and he talks about things in such a strange way. He never, it's not intentional, it's not an intentional restriction he puts himself, but he never calls things good or bad, really. He always just finds some kind of convoluted metaphor or some ridiculous ways to say something about a thing. And I've always thought that was magical and really funny, and it forces you to pay attention and really listen to what he's saying. And also, when I was at university doing my creative writing degree, we studied poetry and how poets made their poetry more interesting by imposing restrictions and limitations on them. You know, stuff like Oulipo, which I've discussed in my videos, and all these kind of different forms. And so I came up with the idea of, I'm going to make a review where I never ever say that anything is actually good or bad, and it's down to the viewer to infer what I actually think from listening to my ridiculous jokes and riddle talk. It wasn't my favorite idea I've ever come up with, but it's really hard to do something on YouTube nowadays that people haven't done before, and I thought it was the closest to something slightly original, wacky and creative that I could do, that I think people would actually watch, that I think would actually have like real appeal to the average viewer, you know?
Yeah, it's so hard to do anything original on YouTube. You just have to like take an idea and then put your own spin on it and then hope people like it.
Yeah. Totally.
And I really like that series, but I understand why it had to come to an end. That sounds like hard to write. Like, I only do it for like a 60-second script for like the album reviews, but a whole like 15-20 minutes of like that seems super hard to do. I could not do that.
It is genuinely hard to write, yeah. It lives on now in the World's Worst Review, which is basically just a rebranding of it. I think we're going to talk about that later, but I imposed myself a limit with the World's Worst Review that it had to be at least 20 minutes long, and I've out-axed that because, man, 20 minutes of that is definitely very hard to write. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, that was actually the next topic I had. So, I think with the Dark Souls video that you just put out, I think how long that one was like a really, like, I think that was like the perfect amount.
Yeah.
Because it's not like too long, it doesn't feel like it's dragging on at all. You just get to the point and then get out.
Totally, yeah, it's not stretching
like,
at all.
Especially like nowadays, attention spans are so low that like you have to make every second interesting.
Don't get me started, yeah. You got to hook them in the first 5 seconds or whatever.
But yeah, the World's Worst Review is like the natural next step for the D view.
Yeah, it's basically a rebranding, just because on YouTube, series don't actually do very well nowadays. Like, if you try and brand a series, unless you're someone with like a millions of subscribers, people aren't going to click on it because they don't know what it is before they click on it, and we don't have the attention span to sit there for like a minute and learn how a video works before we watch it. We just want to immediately get it. We want that instant gratification of like, oh, I click on it, I get it, I get my information, I'm done, you know? Like, so series don't really work unless they have, like I say, they're like by like a million subscriber channel. So I just thought I would change it to a different series, but one that is more immediately, it tells you exactly what it is before you click on it. You can tell, you know what you're getting yourself in for. You kind of get it right away, which is what people want.
So, do you still think your Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze video is your magnum opus?
As of right now, yeah, I do think it's my best. I want to top it soon. I have a few ideas. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't think I've quite topped that yet. That is still my favorite video that I've done. Yeah.
Any sneak peeks?
I'm currently working on a Crash Bandicoot one. World's Worst Review of Crash Bandicoot. I would like to do Hearthstone one day, which is a game that I've been playing for quite some time now. Oblivion. There's a Stanley Parable one I've been thinking about for a long time. That would be so different. There's almost nothing I can say about that, but I'm willing to bet that if I do this Stanley Parable video that I've been thinking about, I genuinely think it would be something that no one on YouTube has ever done before. What I'm doing. Very out there. So we'll see.
You have to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
You put it out into the world.
Yeah, I suppose I do. If I don't go broke by then.
So, whenever I was watching the videos about autism, I was like, man, I feel dumb for not putting that on the topic list, because
it's fine.
Because that's such a huge part of you as like a creator that you embrace, and I really appreciate that. And in the video you said reach out to you for interviews. And I know I have a smaller platform, I guess, but if you just wanted to talk about about that more.
Yeah, well, I was very flattered to be asked to do this interview in the first place. You know, not everyone has to be interested in it to want to talk to me. You know, not everyone has to talk about it with me. I understand if it's not that kind of stuff, more autobiographical stuff is for everyone. I've made the autism videos purely because I don't think there's anyone really talking about it that well in like a big platform like that. You've either got like very clinical people who are very kind of, like I say, very clinical about it, and you know, they talk about the scientific terms and the DSM-5 and all this stuff, and that's very important and very good. But I thought like maybe I can be someone genuinely relatable who people on the spectrum can relate to. You know, back in my university degree, we did this thing called life writing, which is basically about like writing about real topics in your real life and stuff. It's basically learning to write autobiographically. And I wrote a thing about autism back then, and my lecturer loved it, and she was like, wow, this is quite shocking and quite insightful. And I guess I kind of thought about what she said back then, and I was like, maybe this is something people would be interested in. It was kind of a Hail Mary. It's very scary. It's very disarming to be so vulnerable and so open and tell so much about your life, but I kind of don't care. I don't know. If you do YouTube, you have to not learn to not care what people think of you to a certain extent, you know, and none of my comments on that could offend me or upset me. I know what I have. I know what it's like. No one can change my mind. I've got my own lived experience, so fuck it. I'll share it, you know, and maybe it can help.
Yeah. I like how it's really easy to tell whenever you're being serious and whenever you're joking around.
Some people have trouble with it. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I don't know how people have trouble with it. It's so like clear cut.
Me neither. Yeah, me neither. I don't get it. I've had so many. I did a Raid Shadow Legends. I did a fake Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship in one of my videos, and I had a lot of people thinking I was serious. Like, can't believe you sold out to Raid Shadow Legends. It was a joke. I pretended that like, the promo code was death of art, death of culture. Sorry. Whenever
I saw that, I was like, oh, is this video sponsored? And then I saw you putting other people's Raid Shadow Legends ads in the video, and I was like, oh no, it's not. But I think having that relationship with an audience, being open and vulnerable, I think it's a net positive for the most part, because people get to connect more with you, understand more how you operate, but they don't have to know everything. You get to choose what you show them and what you don't show them. I think that's really important, just to build a connection with people and just having this relatability with people. I think that's important. I don't know.
Yeah, no, totally to an extent I think it's important, but like I said at the end of the second autism video, I do think it's important to also maintain some boundaries. There are some people out there who love the parasocial relationships, and they really encourage that stuff, and I've made it clear, like, I appreciate my supporters and my viewers and all the people who do nice stuff for me, who share my videos, especially who donate to my Patreon, but I also don't want them to think we're friends. That sounds brutal. That sounds brutal, and it sounds hard, but it's for their own good, because I'm not sanctimonious enough to sit here and pretend like I'm not capable of going out and doing horrible things. If I go out sometime and do like a terrible thing and receive the consequences I deserve, I don't want other people to be upset about it. I want other people to be able to kick me to the curb and be like, all right, my life is not significantly worsened by someone I don't know or who I never met doing a bad thing. I've seen it happen so many times where someone gets outed as a terrible person and people are genuinely really distraught over it. And I'm like, I can't imagine investing myself that much in someone I don't know. This sounds like me future-proofing myself for anything terrible I may do. I don't plan on going and doing any terrible shit, obviously, but I'm like I say, I'm not sanctimonious enough to sit and pretend like I'm not a flawed human being who is capable of it. And if that day should ever come, God forbid, like I say, it's for their sake, so they're not far too attached and the world isn't crushed by a human being going and doing a big fucky wucky.
Like, building this relationship with basically strangers, but like not to a point where it's even possible to cross any boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, people can have their own thoughts in their own mind, but it can't really go further than that, which is nice.
Yeah, that's why, like I said, that's why I don't have a Discord, because I don't want to talk to these people all the time every day. I have my own friends, they have their own friends. Let's have our own separate lives.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It can be draining. I was like active in a Discord for like a month, and then whenever I stopped being active, I was like, man, I just feel better.
Yeah. It's a social media effect as well. And I've heard a lot of horror stories about like creator fan Discords and stuff and how weird it can get, and I wasn't a part of that.
I just don't even want to risk it.
I hate the idea of an entire space, an entire group of people
dedicated to
me, exactly. Like, oh god, I really,
you have to have an ego for that.
Yeah, like the thought that I could log on and it could show that I'm online and everyone just stops, you know. Oh my god, Fudj is here. Oh no, not for me.
Cool kid walking into the classroom in the old movies.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's like when you, like in a Western movie, when they walk into the saloon and the jukebox stops, everyone stares at them, and you replace the cowboys with weird fanboys. Replace the cowboys with fanboys. I'm gonna keep that.
So I guess I don't know why my voice just did that. You stream a lot more now, which I've been to a few of your streams. I don't watch live streams that often, but how's that going for you?
It's fine. It is mostly out of necessity. Streaming is far more lucrative and far more consistent and far more livable on, if that's the right use of phrasing, than YouTube is. YouTube is so wildly inconsistent. Every time you make a video, it's like you're playing the lottery. You know, will I win? Will YouTube recommend my video, or will I stay at 2,000 views? You know, how much money am I going to make? Streaming is more consistent, it's more stable, it's more reliable, and that's really important for a guy like me, you know? I definitely do prefer, I get a lot more satisfaction out of releasing a YouTube video that I'm genuinely proud of because I'm a writer and, you know, I like having the time to plan everything. So streaming is something I'm a lot less passionate about, but I'm slowly kind of getting around to the idea of getting passionate about it and thinking about some more creative things I can do. It's fine for me. It's fun for now, you know, but should YouTube ever become like something that I can actually solely rely on, then I would definitely focus a lot more on that. It's nice, I guess, at the very least to be able to talk to my viewers a bit more. Like I say, I'm very conscious about preserving boundaries. So I always say, hey, if you want a Discord, just come into my stream. If you want to talk to me and ask me questions, like I'm very open in my stream. I'm willing to chat about anything. I'll talk to people about it there. But the idea of having us having like our own space where we are all the time talking, I much prefer streaming as kind of an alternative to that, frankly.
Yeah, because you can just cut it off whenever you want to.
I can mute people.
So, I know how you mentioned the joke videos wouldn't do as well as much as like the critical videos. So does that mean no more Fudj's thesis?
Oh, man. Fudj's thesis didn't always hit, I'll admit. That was still early in my YouTube career. But I was very proud of Fudj's thesis. I feel like when it hit, but again, that was another thing where like it had a series title and like branded thumbnails. It doesn't immediately tell you what it is before you click on it. The people didn't want to click on it in the first place. Almost everyone who watched them enjoyed them, found them funny, liked them, but people weren't clicking on them in the first place because it wasn't immediately apparent what it was, and we don't have the attention span to learn what something is before we watch it. We just want to watch it and get it right away. I have actually been thinking a lot about how I can do something similar to that in the future and kind of bring it back another way. So I wanted to do this thing called Video Game Detective. I don't have the money for it, basically. That's the thing holding me back, but I wanted to like set up my lounge upstairs as like a studio and basically have like a camera. I'd walk in a stupid long trench coat and I would be the video game detective, and I would try and solve some stupid mysteries about video games. Only they're not even mysteries, I'm just kind of like theory crafting in real life. I was going to try and decipher the origins of Matt from Wii Sports Resort. I don't know if you know who Matt is, but he's the he's the final boss of fencing. He's like really powerful in like 3 different sports, and he's in the crowd of some sports. It's like, who is he? What is he? You know, like I was going to be there with like a magnifying glass and pictures up on like a whiteboard and shit and all this stuff. I wanted to do an undercover fan artist episode where I greatly misunderstand what fan art is. I think it's art of fans, and I go in with my fan art and then I find like porn of like Raichu and Pikachu having sex, and I'm disgusted and I'm horrified at what I find. You know, I'm just an idiot. I'm just a huge moron in a trench coat. I would love to do that one day. I have ideas for all this stuff. It's just a matter of kind of getting myself up there, getting the financial grounding and forming the ideas. I do think stuff like that can work. Brian David Gilbert's Unraveled series on Polygon, if you've heard of it, is a great example. Yeah, he does a bunch of silly like how good would the Dark Souls bosses be as real life bosses in a workplace and stuff like that. I love stuff like that. I want to do stuff like that more. It's just about making it work for me, you know? So I have some ideas.
Good. I missed that series.
Glad to hear it. It's very rare that I hear someone bring up Fudj's thesis to me, but very near and dear to my heart.
It's a classic. It's a Fudj classic. Okay, so would you say your first video to blow up, would that be the Sun and Moon video, or would that be like your Smash video?
It would actually be the Smash Ultimate video, yeah.
Yeah.
The Pokemon videos.
I rewatched that and there was like a screenshot of like your sub count and it was like 600 something, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, I went from 600 subs to over 30,000 off of that video. And that shows you how crazy YouTube is, right? I've made 50 videos now. I'm nearly at 50. I made more than 50 because I deleted a lot of the ones I didn't like. And that one video is like responsible for well over half of my current sub count, to give you an idea of how crazy YouTube is. The Pokemon videos then got a lot of retrospective views because of the success of that video. I am still proud of the Smash videos. That is something I feel very passionate about because it's a big part of my life. It's just I get a little bit of anxiety of like, oh no, you know, I blew up off the back of like one analytical kind of video that I was kind of pigeonholing myself into doing early on. But that's not really what I want to do, and now I have a bunch of subscribers who are subscribed to me for something else. It's the weird dichotomy of success on YouTube, right? It's like you want to succeed, so you do the thing that you know YouTube wants you to do. But then when you succeed, everyone expects more of that from you, you, and you're like, oh shit, I don't actually want to do that anymore. You know,
you were like, oh, that was kind of just like a one-off thing.
Yeah.
That randomly blew up.
Yeah, totally. So it was the Smash one, and that was crazy. That was a completely crazy period of my life.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine going from less than 1,000 to literally 30,000.
I'll never forget just watching the numbers go up. I felt like a dude in like the stock market or something, just watching the numbers go up, and like, you know, my head just like, oh my god, what is happening? I couldn't believe it.
Turned into a crypto bro.
Yeah, it could have. You know, that kind of high, it could have. So yeah, the Pokemon videos kind of retroactively blew up after that, and then did better. But then, like I say, that kind of played more into the, oh god, whenever I want to do something silly or funny or irreverent, this isn't what people are expecting, and people are being kind of hostile about it. And eventually I just learned to switch that out and tell myself that I didn't care, because I know what I want to do, I know what I'm proud of. You know, like, if I keep playing into the hands and doing this, I'll end up with a job that I don't actually like, and that's literally what I was doing this to get away from in the first place.
Did you get like a lot of hate on that video, or was it more like neutral?
I got a bit of hate, but considering how harsh I was on the game, the sentiment of which around was like very positive before then, not as much as you'd expect. I think the like ratio, obviously dislikes are disabled now, but if I go to my studio, I'm pretty sure that the like to dislike ratio is still over like 85%, which, considering that I'm dunking on a game that everyone likes, is actually very good.
Especially at the time too.
Yeah,
at the time, everybody loved that game.
Yeah, without trying to like toot my own horn too much, I do feel like I kind of changed the discourse around that game a bit, which I almost feel bad for saying, because I don't want to like actively make everyone dislike a game that is clearly the work of passion and effort, but I do also believe there's such a thing as toxic positivity, where we force ourselves to like something or think we like things so much that we're not allowed to criticize it, and I'm like, no, this is worthy of criticism. So I got some very stupid comments, but then in the follow-up I addressed all those and kind of dunked on some very stupid people, and that one has over a 90% like ratio, so success.
You have to be able to balance the like pointing out its flaws.
You criticize the things you love.
Yeah, that's how you love stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Because everything has flaws, especially Smash Ultimate, but...
And if we're not willing to talk about things' flaws, then those things can never improve. They never have a chance to be addressed. So that is, you know, not that I consider myself a critic, but that is the job of a critic, is to offer improvements. You know, the constructive criticism is criticizing something and offering a way that can be improved. We often forget that the opposite of constructive criticism is destructive criticism, which is just flaming something to no end with no answers and no help. And that's not what they are supposed to be whatsoever. That's not what they are at all.
Yeah, I really liked how it was criticism, but you were giving like alternatives instead of just saying this is bad. So many videos like do that. And
it's what sells. It's what people want to watch.
Hate gets you a lot of views.
Yep. Yeah, it does. As is evidenced
because people want to see you hate something.
Yeah, as is evidenced by that video, I think. I like to think that if I really wanted to, I could be quite a good like genuine critic, but that's just not what interests me. You know, like, that was fun to do that one time. Now we move on, and I'm fine with everything else not doing quite as well, because I understand the way things work.
It could be draining to like do that every single video too.
Yeah. I didn't want to be another angry video game guy. There's a lot of dudes out there who like their whole brand is that they're angry about video games. And I just think that's I just think that's so lame.
I don't get that.
No,
I don't get it at all.
I just think it's so boring. You know, do something creative, do something fun, like do something new. But no, man, your whole brand is that you hate stuff, I guess.
So I guess the next thing I have is, I mean we've touched on it throughout this whole interview, but like what like the future of your channel holds, because I remember you said that you were gonna take a step back from YouTube for a while, and then you kind of like retracted that.
Yeah, so I got a bit in over my head this year. Basically, I had some ideas for things outside of YouTube that I wanted to do, that I wanted to pursue kind of creatively, and I thought I could do it. I really wanted to, so I announced that I was going to be walking away from I never said quitting. I never shut the door definitively. I said it's entirely possible that I walk this back in a number of months or however long, and have to come back for any number of reasons. Don't think that I'm quitting, because I'm not saying I'm quitting. I'm just done for now. And I did have to walk that back only a couple months later, because of some unexpected expenses that came up in my life. Some things have happened. Life is crazy, and suddenly I need a lot more money than I thought I did. A brief example is that my bills have gone up. There's an energy crisis in the UK right now, where I'm from, where energy bills are rising at a crazy, terrifying rate. Rent's going up. All these things are happening in my life. Even though YouTube is inconsistent, I can't pay for all this stuff and live and survive through just streaming. streaming. So I'm really going to need to do it. I'm going to need to do a bit of it all. So I said, okay, I kind of have to tuck my tail between my legs and come back to YouTube. It's fine because on one hand, it's frustrating that I'm going to have to put up with algorithms and click-through rates and all this other bullshit. That's going to be annoying, I know. But I'm still passionate about it. I still care about it. I still love it. I still feel really satisfied uploading something that I love. And I had ideas. So I've come back immediately with the new shorter World's Worst Review, which is going to continue for a while. I've got a lot of... I've already fully recorded the audio for the Crash one, so it's just in the editing phase now. So I'm doing that. Hey, video game detective is always a possibility if I can if I can get my funds up and stuff, you know. I've got my fingers in a few pies. Nothing I can divulge right now, but I'm talking to a few people about like some exciting collaborations that are that run a bit deeper than like the classic YouTuber collaboration where like one dude pops up on a webcam and is like, I've cut into your video and whatever. Like, no, some actually exciting stuff. I have a lot of ideas and a lot of plans, and I kind of have to go hard for the next however many months, you know, to make ends meet. So a lot is going to be going on the YouTube. The World's Worst Review is going to continue. I might videoify a few of those big Patreon listicles that I wrote up. Video Game Detective or the new Fudge's Thesis, whatever, like however I revamp it. That is always a possibility. I'm definitely looking at like World's Worst Review and the spiritual successor to Fudge's Thesis, whether that be Video Game Detective, whether that be something else. Bringing that kind of style of video back in some way, but refining it. There's a few people on YouTube who have made that kind of formula work, something vaguely similar to what I want to do. There's a channel called Backseat, I think it's Backseat Game Development. They did a few very amusing videos about like how edible each Animal Crossing villager is and how you can mathematically statistically predict the next Smash character, and it's ridiculous. It's not accurate. They're predicting like Sans from Undertale with actual genuine maths and logic. It's very funny. It's very fascinating. That kind of stuff I love. That's the kind of stuff I want to do. Like I say, who is Matt from Wii Sports? The Zelda villains as Uber drivers ranked from worst to best. I don't know. Who is the sexiest Pokemon? Shit like that. I love silly, wacky shit like that. So I want to do stuff like that more. Hey, there's a lot to come because there kind of has to be. So regardless of the circumstances, I will say, I think you can get excited for what's to come.
I am excited.
Thank you.
You've piqued my interest. I guess also now I wanted to let you have a moment to promote your Patreon.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that'd be great. If you're interested by this interview, please, by all means, do go ahead over to Fudj, F-U-D-J, on YouTube, on Patreon, on Twitter, on Twitch. I am Nocturnal Fudj. That's one word. I am Nocturnal Fudj on basically everything because there's a dude called Fudj on like everything else other than YouTube. I can't get Twitter to delete his account, even though he hasn't spoken for like 8 years. We also have a merchandise store that I set up with my friends over at Patchwork. Shouts to Patchwork. They are an organization that I'm affiliated with, kind of an esports organization. They hire Valorant players and Smash Bros players, and they do some cool other like written articles and stuff. They're great. They helped me set up this merchandise store. So it's store.patchwork.gg that you can find the Fudj merchandise, which is like mugs and shirts and stuff. That stuff goes a long way. Help and support me in my ambition and my silly, lofty dreams of being a silly, wacky guy in front of thousands of people, pretty much.
Support the silly, wacky man.
Us goofy guys are a dying race. We're going extinct. After we get trans rights and non-binary equality, we're fighting for the goofy guys. That's what's next.
It's the next movement.